Okay, so we've been making our way through Dante's journey, right?
Yeah.
We started with his awakening, went through that initial realm of limbo, those noble spirits there.
Right.
Then all those poets we encountered, and then finally going down, down, down
Mhm.
into that second circle of hell.
Right.
Each one of these steps, I feel like for us, even as readers, but also definitely for Dante, reveals something about the path that we all walk in life.
Absolutely.
And it's these kind of universal themes that I think are what make the Commedia so powerful and timeless.
And as we kind of dig into that, the thing to keep in mind when reading Dante's Commedia is that it's not just a tour of the afterlife, right?
Right.
It's this very profound exploration of, what it means to be human, the choices that we make, and the consequences that ultimately follow us on our journeys.
So today we're going to be diving straight into the fifth canto of the Inferno.
Okay.
You're with Dante now in the second circle.
Right.
This is where you really feel that atmosphere, that thick, heavy judgment of Minos.
Right, that legendary figure, right. Each soul belongs within hell.
And what I think is so immediately striking about this circle, right,
Yeah.
is the punishment that you see there.
Yeah.
It's the lustful, and they're swept relentlessly by these really fierce winds.
Right.
So you have this constant storm mirroring the lack of control that they had over their passions in life,
Wow.
never finding any peace.
A constant reminder of their, their inability to control those base desires.
Yeah, and it's so powerful because it's not just, fire and brimstone or something. It's this idea that they're tormented by the very thing that they couldn't control.
Right.
And it is here that Dante encounters his first specific individuals in hell.
Yeah.
It's not just a big mass of souls anymore.
Right.
This is Paolo and Francesca.
Right.
And I think their story resonates so deeply, even today.
It does. And what's really fascinating about their story is how it begins, right?
Yeah.
So their adulterous love, it blossoms as they read the tale of Lancelot and Guinevere. And this is a real stark reminder of the power that stories, that art can hold in shaping our own desires and actions.
Wow.
Think about that.
Yeah.
A story igniting this passion within them. And of course, their affair tragically ends around 1285 with their murder by Francesca's husband, Gianciotto Malatesta.
And it's so interesting to me, too, because they were Dante's contemporaries.
Right.
So he's placing these people who he might have even known or known of in hell.
It's really quite a bold move on his part.
And when you're reading their story, you'll notice that it's actually Francesca who's speaking, right?
Yeah.
She's the one recounting their shared fate, while Paolo is silent.
This weeping.
Yeah, and it really makes you wonder about the different ways that they're grappling with their doom, doesn't it?
It does. You really start to think about, the inner workings of their minds and how they're processing their punishment.
And this is a really great example, I think, of how Dante uses individual stories, even within this epic scope of hell, to offer these glimpses into the political landscape of his time.
Yeah.
So by placing these recognizable figures in hell, he's not just making this moral point.
Right.
He's also offering this very public commentary on their lives and the choices that they made.
It's very pointed.
So I want to know, as we're reflecting on this canto, what really stood out to you?
Well, I think for me, the thing that I keep coming back to is this very stark contrast between Dante's deep pity for Paolo and Francesca, right?
Yeah.
He is so overcome with emotion that he actually faints.
Right.
But then at the same time, you have this, seemingly very unyielding divine justice that's placed them in this torment.
It's this constant tension, right?
Yeah.
Between these two ideas. And it really makes you think about that tension in your own life.
It does.
How do you balance your empathy for other people with the recognition that actions have consequences?
That's such a critical point for us all to consider, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we really connect this to our own experiences, it raises these really important questions about how we navigate those situations where our compassion might clash with the need for accountability.
Absolutely.
Both for ourselves and in our interactions with other people.
And then there's this incredibly potent line that I think really just hits you as you're reading.
Yeah.
Gianciotto fu libro e chi lo nasciste.
Why?
Gianciotto was the book, and who wrote it?
Powerful.
It speaks to this immense power of influence, right?
Yes.
Here, a book acted as a go-between,
Yeah.
igniting their passion. But it makes you think about what books, in a broader sense, whether it's the media that we consume, the stories that we tell ourselves, What are acting as these Gileadi in our own lives,
Right.
subtly shaping our desires?
It's a powerful reminder for us all to really be mindful of the influences that we allow into our lives
Yeah.
and to consider how these influences might be shaping our perspectives, maybe even our choices, without us even realizing it.
And finally, when you look at their story, you can see so clearly how this unchecked passion, how it became their downfall.
Right.
And it wasn't love itself that condemned Paolo and Francesca. It was its untamed nature overriding reason and responsibility.
Exactly.
It twisted something that was potentially very beautiful
Mm-hmm.
into something destructive.
Yeah. And this really underscores for us the importance of self-governance, right?
Right.
How do we manage our own passions so that they can enrich our journey rather than lead us down these destructive paths?
So as you take these reflections with you from this canto, think about Paolo and Francesca's story, right?
Yeah.
How do you navigate those complexities of empathy when you see the consequences of actions, both in your own life, but also in the lives of people around you?
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, what are those books, those influences in your life that maybe deserve a little bit more careful consideration?
Hmm.
That's something to think about.
Yeah, definitely. Something to ponder.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.